What's going on? Welcome back to the channel. Today we're going to talk to you about the top 5 most heavily shorted EV stocks in the market as of right now. So I want to go over all the things that you need to know, but first make sure to hit that thumbs up, and with that, let's get right to it. On a side note, I'm only going to be including any stock that has a 100 mil market cap and greater. Anything below that, I feel like it's just a lot of dilution and not necessarily a good scenario. So just so you are all aware. Getting right to stock number 5, you have Polestar sitting at 109. Over the last 1 year, it is up 31.8%. And then over the last 1 month, for the most part, it's pretty flat. So up 1.87%. But we are here because of this. So 11.35% of the free float is being shorted. That works out to be 42.84 million shares overall being shorted. This red number right here does show what shorts did on Friday. So the market was booming, and even aside from that, a lot of good EVs have started to gain a little bit of traction. So I feel like this is a very good and well-timed video, because potentially a lot of these you might see a reduction in shorts over the next little bit, but shorts did return roughly around 18,000 shares on Friday. Cost to borrow average, that's an annual rate, not a daily rate, but that is at 16.5 DTC. So when I've done these types of videos in the past, there's one common thing among all of them, and that is a very high DTC. So that does factor in the average volume of the stock in comparison to the overall number of shares being shorted. So ultimately, in many cases, shorts are overextended. So I feel like even though EVs haven't done all that great so far this year, it might things might be changing soon. So again, 14.69 days. So that's crazy stuff. And then short score, higher the number, the higher the likelihood of a squeeze happening, is sitting at 87.68. So that is crazy high. One thing as well I want to draw to your attention though is that there's roughly around 100,000 shares available to be shorted. So in some cases, when you do have a stock, for instance, that has limited amount of shares available, you might see some buying coming from big institutions just for the purposes of lending it out. And BlackRock, Vanguard, State Street, a lot of the big names love to do that. In this case, the cost to borrow is kind of on the low end, so I wouldn't really see this being that top of a priority to them, but a lot of the other stocks might be a little bit different. So nonetheless, Polestar is stock number 5. Moving on to stock number 4, had a absolutely kick-ass Friday, and generally actually a pretty good run prior to that, and that is NIO, sitting at 634. Over the last 1 year, it is up 58.9%, and then over the last 1 month, up 32.77%. 11.41% of the free float is being shorted, works out to be 176 million shares overall being shorted. Cost to borrow average, 4.28, so a little bit on the low end. Shorts did return on Friday, 3.9 million shares. So you can kind of see just how and the gravity that shorts have been actually returning. So this green line, so they were at roughly about 13% short interest in June. They kind of returned a lot to that 10%. They doubled down, and now they are starting to return a lot. So very interesting kind of stuff going on. DTC, like I mentioned previously, is fairly high. So that is sitting at 3.43 days. And then through IBKR does indicate in excess of 10 million shares available to be shorted. So if shorts really wanted to double down, they definitely could, but it's probably not advisable given the momentum behind the scenes. At the same time, you won't be seeing any buying just for the purposes of lending it out, because cost to borrow is fairly cheap. So NIO is stock number 4. Moving on to stock number 3, you have Rivian. So on Friday, it did go up a solid 8%, sitting at 1309 over the last 1 year. It's pretty flat, but up 2%, give or take. And then over the last 1 month, it is down 4.76%. Currently, 18.93% of the free float is being shorted, works out to be 150 million shares overall being shorted. Cost to borrow average sitting at 1.02%, minimum being negative, so that does mean that there is brokers out there physically paying people to short Ortex. And just generally, from what you can see, shorts have been returning. So it went from about 20% short interest to where it is now. So maybe shorts did anticipate Rivian and just the broader market to start appreciating. DTC 4.84 days. Short score is 70.82. So again, higher the number, higher the likelihood of a squeeze happening. And there's about 3 million shares available to be shorted. So this stock, you definitely won't be seeing any buying from big players to lend out because cost to borrow is pennies. And there's already 3 million shares available. Interesting thing to take note of though is on Friday when everything was going up, you did have shorts increase roughly around 76,000 shares. So definitely a unique one. Moving on to stock number 2. Faraday Future sitting at $2.46. It went up 11.82% on Friday. Over the last 1 year, it is down 69.4%. And then over the last 1 month, it is up 12.33. The stock's definitely had some pretty good momentum, bouncing off of that $2 range, kind of hitting $3 for the most part, which was in mid-August, give or take. Since then, it's been rather volatile, but nonetheless, 19.07% of the free float is being shorted, works out to be 26.83 million shares. Shorts on Friday did increase 234,000 shares. Cost to borrow average is 17%, and then there's about 1.72 days for that DTC. Shorts, honestly, they are playing some weird game. At the highest recently, it was about 31% short interest, went down to, it looks as though 17, back up to 29. So they're playing some weird game, but through IBKR, it does indicate that there's about 55,000 shares available to be shorted. So you could see some buying going into this upcoming week, as that is rather limited. And cost to borrow average isn't all that bad, I guess, for this. But nonetheless, Faraday is stock number 2. And then moving on to stock number 1, once again, the leading contender, the head honcho, the king short. I don't know if this is something to be proud of or not, but Lucid. So that is sitting at 203, one of the only stocks on my watch list that went red. So on Friday, it went down 2.87% when the broader market and everyone and their dog was just in FOMO. Over the last 1 year, it is down 47.27%, and then over the last 1 month, down 28.04%. And then right now, 33.17% of the free float is being shorted. That works to be 416 million shares overall being shorted. Very close to the all-time high short interest. So you can kind of see that was roughly around July. And so since it looks like end of July, shorts have been doubling down, where it went from about 28% short interest to where it is now. Cost to borrow average 17.06, short score 72.63. DTC 3.13 days, and then through IBKR it does indicate 100,000 shares is available to be shorted. So this stock definitely could see some buying over the next couple trading days. And honestly, I've been covering Lucid for a very long time, and shorts, like the available shares, was always in excess of 10 million, and that was kind of the max that Ortex always does show. But when shorts decided to really double and triple down, you always see very limited supply. So nonetheless, Lucid is stock number 1. So let me know your thoughts on the top 5. Do you think any of them are going to be squeeze plays? Like I said, with Powell hinting at cuts coming, and potentially from now up until the meeting, if let's say the labor data starts to worsen or not come in line with expectations, for instance, there might be a small likelihood of a even 50 basis point cut. So that would be huge for the broader market, for growth stocks, and even the EV sector, because the EV sector is very sensitive to interest rates. So nonetheless, add them all to your watch list if you haven't already. If you own them, give yourself a shout out in the comments below. One final thing, pop over to my Patreon. I do give buy signals on stocks, options, crypto, many of which have been absolutely on point. Definitely worthwhile to pop over there and take a look. With all that said, appreciate all of you watching.